Welcome back to the Cyber Risk TV live stream from the Expo floor at InfoSec World 2024. We're excited to be here celebrating the 30th anniversary of InfoSec World. I'm your host, Dr. Dustin Sachs, and today I'm joined by Deidre Diamond, who is the founder and CEO at CyberSN and the founder of SheSecuresDiversity. Excuse me. Blech. Deidre, thank you for being here.
It's great to be with you, Doctor.
And it's exciting. You know, this is our last of these interviews before we do our big wrap up. Tell us a little bit about what CyberSN is. I think there's a lot of people out there who have probably heard of it or they know of it, but maybe don't really know of it. But tell us what you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. We're 10 years this month.
Wow.
So there's a lot. Thank you. It's amazing how time goes so fast. And so there's lots of chapters and lots of different services that we've created over the years. Started in talent acquisition, found the talent matching a big problem. As you know, we've had these discussions in the past about needing a taxonomy to speak the same language. So we did all that in our first 5 years and really, run a talent acquisition firm that's based on matching and moving the needle quickly for organizations. And then that really showed me how burned out everybody is and how stressed out everybody is and how much talent retention issues we're having. And then, of course, now we've got the economic shift. So all of that really inspired me to start looking at risk from a talent perspective. So for the last 2.5 years, we have pioneered the talent risk management space, which is talent gap analysis, is training and development programs, 3 to 5 year organizational structural mapping and planning of people to move the security maturity needle. So all aligned to security practice, all aligned to the business function. And now, as of 3 months ago, we have software that's supporting the management of said engagements after we leave so that practitioners, security leaders can keep this all going.
Yeah, and we've all heard the statistics about the talent gaps, the skill shortages, all of those things. We've also seen, all of the stories even recently about the changing nature of the way in which people are working. I mean, I think back to, a week or two ago where we heard, Amazon shifting back to the fully 5 days in the office kind of mindset. But I know you guys took a really interesting and unique approach to the way in which you present the jobs and the way in which you allow individuals to search for jobs. Tell us a little bit about the taxonomy that you guys put together.
Yeah. So the taxonomy is now, today, all these years later, 45 functional roles across 10 categories. And what we did is outline every task or every project that could be associated with a functional role and use that for job building technology, resume building technology, so that on the back end it's super easy to match. Meaning, buzzwords don't tell us what somebody's doing. Really, literally saying yes or no to this question does, meaning resumes and job descriptions don't make sense. So we've used the taxonomy to create those building technologies, to do the matching on the back end, and it really moves the needle. Of course, it's aligned to NICE and NIST, but it's extended beyond, and the things that they're not maybe touching, like sales engineering or other disciplines.
So, when you look at organizations, and, we've heard this, the metrics and statistics around the fact that, it costs so much to, acquire an individual, it costs so much to retain them, it costs so much when you lose them. What are the most important things for organizations to be thinking of from their talent strategy? Because a lot of times it's not, I think we find it's not strategic. It's more of just this like whack-a-mole kind of thing of, I'll hire somebody for the need that I've got right now. I'll use them for as long as I can get anything out of them. As soon as they're out of juice, we'll move on and find somebody else, or, that person will leave, we'll burn them out, or, and not intentionally burn them out, but certainly they'll get burnt out, they'll move on to something else, and we'll then fill the new need. How can organizations be more strategic?
I'm so glad you asked this question because this is a national security issue. I've been saying it for years. Burnout, retention, and now seeing the more senior professionals retiring early, turning into consultants. Not that consultants aren't needed, and that we are, losing our senior leadership to saying, I don't want any of this. It's not moving the needle and I don't get treated well. And when I look at all of that, I think that we have a serious issue with workload management and communicating workload management and risk to the business. I know lots of security leaders, and they are wonderful humans. And the way that they're managing talent in spreadsheets and talent capabilities, it's not possible. It's not even possible, and it's certainly not going to show the business how to move the needle. So the number one thing we have to do is have visualization of our workforce capabilities. We need that visualization tied to risk. We need it tied to security posturing. And when we do that, we'll actually find that we are empowered. But unfortunately, and I didn't notice this gap of selling up until it really came from, and Jason, if you're out there listening, a big retailer, security leader, who I kept saying to my clients, hey, use my platform, sit down with everybody on your team, document what everybody's doing, export their jobs, use that to sit down every 90 days, update it, blah, blah, blah. So this Jason leader says, Deidre, it sounds like the great solution for us for work. Who's got the time? You do it. And that's where this all started for me, is in moving the needle in workforce risk management service, now software, is that we first have to say, what is everybody doing? Where's our gaps based on what they're doing? Not what they're capable of, but what are they doing? Based on what they're doing, what's the organizational security practice capable of? And then what's our plan? And it has to be 3 to 5 years. It has to be.
And what's amazing about what you're talking about, you mentioned the fact that it's aligned to NICE. And for those who aren't familiar, that's, that allows you to then take those jobs and look and go, well, you're responsible for this, and this. And here are all the NICE kind of codes from NIST and go, okay, here are all the trainings that are available to you. And here's where you might need to go get some training in Gap. And if you're using, any of the traditional kind of training tools that are out there, the commercially available training tools, you can literally go on the NICE website and go, I need this code, and it'll go, okay, here are all the courses that match up. And it makes then leveraging your learning and professional development tool really great. It's something we did at the last company that I was at, that our leader was actually very passionate about. But, one of the things that I know you and I have talked about over the years, and I think one of the things that I hear you talking about in the things you're saying is, because of the burnout at the top, because of the disillusionment at the top, we're also suffering from a lack of succession planning, because those leaders are saying, I don't want, it's not even a nefarious of, I'm afraid you're going to take my job. It's, I don't want to expose you to this. So how do we have those leaders who are getting burnt out, who have been in the industry for years, who are deciding that now is the time to leave? How do we convince them that it's safe to educate the next generation, that it's okay, that they can move forward? I talked on a couple of these interviews. I got to speak with Tim Brown 2 weeks ago, and to hear somebody who's been through what he's been through say, we still need to encourage that next generation of CISOs. I don't want my story to become the reason somebody doesn't join the ranks of CISO, was really kind of an amazing thing to hear from a guy who, if you're not familiar with his story, please go out and Google it, because it's been an amazing story. But how do we encourage those leaders to help turn around and help the person behind them?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because there are options for these people. They've either made enough money where they can go buy something and be in some great area and just live life, or they can consult. And I think, for me in my entire career, I've only seen regulation really move the needle for the things that we need to correct behaviors. And so I am seeing already, since the SEC did what the SEC did, highly regulated organizations investing in workforce risk management for the first time. And by doing that, that will give security leaders the support they need to actually feel like they can make a difference. And if that continues, then they'll be interested in helping the younger generation. I'm also hearing a lot of great things about what the Federal Trade Commission is proposing for regulations. That'll move the needle. I wish it wasn't a stick that did these things, but bottom line is, we're not protecting our security leaders. How many of them have indemnification? How many of them are getting in their employment contracts the things that they need? Not many. And if that doesn't change, they're not going to stick around and mentor people.
Absolutely. So we're starting to come close to the end of our interview, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this one topic. One of the things that I know we at Cyber Risk Alliance, at the Cyber Risk Collaborative, and even at InfoSec World are very passionate about is diversity and inclusion. We had a fantastic Women in Cyber, or what I heard was a fantastic Women in Cyber breakfast this morning. I've seen some amazing pictures. How important is it for us to embrace all of the different diversities that might exist, from gender diversity to socioeconomic diversity to neurodiversity, to all of those areas? How important is that in cybersecurity specifically?
Yeah, I'm so bummed I missed the breakfast. My alarm was set and everything.
I'm bummed I missed the breakfast, but I missed it for other different reasons.
I
was not invited.
Exactly.
I was not invited.
Exactly. So I'd like to say that we do it because, why wouldn't we do it? Why wouldn't we want women in the workforce or any minority individual? The reality is I've succumbed to a different way of selling, if you will, the need, which is our attackers are diverse, very diverse.
Yeah.
Check the box for anything there is to check, and they are that. And so I firmly believe, beyond socially why we should include others and have inclusive environments that have equal opportunity, it's also because we will not win if we don't. Is it not that security is the art of understanding how our adversaries think, feel, and perceive?
I'm not going to disagree with you on this. This is a passionate topic of mine, the whole behavioral science and understanding our attackers. So I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
It's like, it's obvious, and yet we are still very challenged. I was very fortunate yesterday I think almost every woman that's at this conference was at my talk yesterday, is what I'm told, that hour there was no women anywhere else. And that really showed that women were coming for a reason, in that they're still needing a lot of support to move this needle.
Yeah, and I mean, we've heard I know I've checked in with a number of people at the conference, and we've heard some amazing comments from some of the women, from some of the diverse backgrounds of people who are here, about how inclusive it's been, how it's energized them. And it's really great to hear that, as wherever you are on the diversity spectrum, we all have some element of diversity in our lives. If it's neurodiversity, if it's gender diversity, if it's our background, something that's unique to us, and embracing all of that, like you said, I think is really, really powerful. Is our attackers are diverse. So why wouldn't you want somebody who maybe can relate or understand that attacker more? Because the more, I always think back to the great Sun Tzu quote: "You have to know your enemy to know to know yourself." So you can't. You've got to have that. So
it could be somebody that even studied the culture.
Absolutely.
That's a diverse. I met somebody yesterday that learned security in the language of German and Chinese.
Yeah,
Think about that.
Oh my gosh, that's
right?
amazing. Yeah.
So they didn't have to be Chinese, if you will. Not to say that they couldn't have either, but that's fascinating too. I can't stress enough how much having Olivia Rowe's keynote made a difference to how many women came to this conference. Because I asked those women in my talk yesterday, first of all, I haven't seen this many. What's going on? And many of them said, I came because because we need to see role models.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to see that woman on that stage with the first one.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful to InfoSec World for doing that. And it's also a call out to say, hey, one of the things that we can do to move this needle of inclusion and getting more women to conferences and stuff is having more women on the stage and main stage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've had some amazing women on our stage at this conference. I mean, from
Amy.
Olivia to Amy to Shannon to, I mean, you name it. So, well, Deidre, thank you so much for this. Thank you for joining us today. This was really great. Thank you all for tuning in for this live interview from InfoSec World 2024. To find all of our coverage from Cyber Risk TV and this year's event, visit securityweekly.com/ISW. We'll be back really shortly here with Chris Tanica to do a kind of a wrap up of the entire conference. So stick with us. Look forward to seeing you all here in a few minutes. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you again, Deidre.
Thank you. Thank you.